When Top Gun Maverick finally hit theaters in 2022, it was difficult not to feel a blend of excitement and doubt. After all, this wasn't just a sequel. This was a sequel that had been waiting in the wings for more than 3 decades. In Hollywood, that's practically a geological era. A lot had changed. The industry, the technology, the culture, and of course, the viewers themselves.
I feel the need for speed. Ow!
So there was a natural question hanging in the air. Was this movie really going to say something new? Or was it just trying to tug on the heartstrings of fans who remembered the first one? The honest answer is that it does a bit of both, and that's actually its secret strength.
Talk to me, Goose.
Top Gun Maverick absolutely plays with nostalgia, yet it also stands confidently as a piece of modern filmmaking. What makes it interesting isn't that it's nostalgic or modern, but that it finds a surprisingly elegant way to be both at once. People often talk about nostalgia in movies like it's a cheap trick, and sometimes it can be. But Maverick doesn't just parade old props in front of the camera. The film uses nostalgia almost like a language, a way to connect past and present emotionally instead of simply recycling what came before. You can see this immediately in the opening sequence, which feels like a deliberate echo of the original film. The aircraft carrier, the sunlit steam, the Kenny Loggins track. But it doesn't feel like a lazy repeat. It feels like an invitation, a reminder of where this story started, especially for viewers who grew up with it. The film isn't just saying, remember this, it's saying, remember how this felt. That emotional thread runs directly into one of the film's core relationships, Maverick and Rooster. Their story mirrors the relationship between Maverick and Goose. But it's not a carbon copy. Instead, it pushes Maverick into uncomfortable territory. He has to face guilt, regret, and the consequences of decisions made long ago. Nostalgia becomes a way to open up emotional wounds that never fully healed. This is nostalgia with purpose. Nostalgia that asks characters to reckon with their past rather than just revisit it. To see how flexible nostalgia can be, it's helpful to look at another long-gap sequel, Tron Legacy, also directed by Joseph Kosinski. Released in 2010 as a follow-up to the 1982 cult classic Tron. It had its own nostalgia mountain to climb, but Legacy took a very different route. Instead of relying on emotional callbacks, it leaned into atmosphere and design. Sure, it kept the neon lines, light cycles, and the digital world concept, but it treated those elements like ingredients for something new rather than sacred artifacts. The Daft Punk soundtrack didn't sound like it belonged to the 80s. It sounded like the future the 80s never reached. The grid became sleeker, moodier, and more architectural. More like a dream of the digital world than a direct continuation. The nostalgia in Tron Legacy isn't sentimental so much as aesthetic. It's less about saying, remember Flynn and the arcade, and more about creating a visual and tonal bridge between old ideas and new ambitions. Comparing the two films highlights just how differently nostalgia can be used. One film builds on emotional memory, the other builds on visual continuity. Both show that nostalgia isn't inherently shallow, it depends entirely on how it's used. Meanwhile, Top Gun Maverick strengthens its modern identity through its commitment to real, physical filmmaking. One of the biggest reasons the film feels so fresh is its insistence, in fact Tom Cruise's insistence, on practical aerial photography. In a world where CGI can conjure anything, the decision to film actors inside actual aircraft feels almost rebellious. This wasn't a case of actors pretending to strain against imaginary G-forces. They were actually up there, with custom IMAX cameras jammed into cockpits, and real pilots pulling them through maneuvers intense enough to test anyone's stomach. That effort wasn't just spectacle for spectacle's sake. It deeply affects the texture of the movie. the flight sequences have weight, velocity, and physicality. You don't just see the jets move, you feel the air pressure, the tight turns, the controlled chaos. When the action feels real, the stakes feel real. As a result, the story doesn't need an overly complex villain or convoluted political backdrop. The danger is built into the environment. Flying is the antagonist. Gravity is the antagonist. The limits of the human body are the antagonist. This authenticity pairs naturally with the film's emotional grounding, especially when it comes to the theme of aging. Maverick isn't the young hotshot he used to be. He knows it, the Navy knows it, and the planes definitely know it. The movie doesn't pretend he can slip back into the world of 1986 like nothing happened. Instead, it explores what a person like Maverick becomes when the world starts moving faster than he does.
The end is inevitable, Maverick. Your kind is headed for extinction.
Maybe so, sir. But not today.
That's a dynamic a lot of people can relate to, whether they're pilots or not. And one thing that stands out even more on rewatch is how Top Gun Maverick treats its main character with genuine respect. The film acknowledges Maverick's age and flaws without turning him into a joke, a relic, or a burden to be cleared out of the way. He's imperfect, yes, but he's still competent, intuitive, and essential to the story. The film doesn't diminish him in order to spotlight the younger characters, nor does it freeze him in time as if he never changed. It threads a middle ground. Maverick is older, but his experience and instincts still matter. In a landscape where older heroes are often reduced to punchlines or stepping stones, this approach feels surprisingly refreshing. This becomes even clearer when you compare it with how some other legacy sequels have handled their returning icons. Luke Skywalker in the recent Star Wars films, for example, was reinterpreted in a way that many longtime fans felt disconnected from. A version of the character shaped more by deconstruction than continuation. Similarly, characters like Indiana Jones have at times been sidelined or reframed so dramatically that they feel distant from the qualities that once defined them. Those choices can be artistically valid, of course, but they often leave audiences feeling like the characters weren't allowed to remain themselves. Maverick, by contrast, embraces the idea that a legacy character can age without losing their dignity. It recognizes that growth doesn't have to erase competence. Maverick still feels like Maverick, just older, wiser, and carrying more history. Maverick, then, is dealing with legacy from multiple angles. He's training younger pilots, watching them repeat mistakes he once made, and trying to figure out what kind of mentor he should be now. At the same time, he's grappling with technology that threatens to render him obsolete. The conflict between human instinct and automated precision becomes a metaphor for his own struggle to stay relevant. This gives the movie an unexpected emotional depth, a kind of quiet reflection inside the spectacle that helps the story resonate even more. Through all these layers, the film finds a remarkably smooth balance between honoring its past and embracing the present. The familiar elements remind us why we cared about these characters in the first place. The new elements show why we should care about them now. The result is a film that doesn't feel trapped by nostalgia, but instead energized by it. It uses the past as a compass, not a cage. And when you look at it alongside something like Tron Legacy, the broader picture becomes even clearer. Nostalgia itself isn't the issue. It's all about intention. It can be emotional, like Top Gun Maverick, or aesthetic, like Tron Legacy. It can be a foundation, a texture, a spark. What matters is whether it's used thoughtfully and creatively, rather than as a shortcut. In the end, Top Gun Maverick succeeds because it respects where it came from without being afraid to evolve. It knows exactly when to nod to the past and when to push forward. That's why it ends up feeling more like a conversation between two generations of filmmaking rather than a simple sequel.
One last thing. Who's the better pilot? You or me?
This is not nice moment. Let's not ruin it.
It captures the thrill of classic Hollywood spectacle while embracing the precision and craft of modern cinema. And it manages to do all that while telling a story that feels surprisingly human and universal. It's easy to be cynical about long-delayed sequels in a Hollywood landscape filled with reboots and revivals. But films like Maverick, and even, in its own way, Tron Legacy, show that nostalgia doesn't have to be cheap or shallow. When it's used well, it can deepen a story, enrich the experience, or reshape the world on screen into something both familiar and new. Top Gun Maverick stands out because it understands that balance. It remembers exactly where it came from, and still flies confidently into what's next.